Lucky the fact of your existence. Baby, I will climb the Andes slowly to count the freckles on your body. Never could imagine there were only a million ways to love somebody. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Can't you see I'm at your feet? Whenever, wherever we were meant to be together, I'll be there and you'll be near, and that's the deal, my dear. They're over, here under, you will never have to wonder. We can almost play by ear, and that's the deal, my dear. Lucky that my lips not only mumble, they spill kisses like a fountain. Lucky that my breasts are small and humble, so you don't confuse them with mountains. Lucky I have strong legs like my mother to run for cover when I need it. And these two eyes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to another monthly edition of A Day in the Life of an Ɔdadeɛ, Aditlo for short. Here, we are excited to have our guest on this second edition. I would typically introduce myself as KMG, but for this guest, I am T.A. Gavu.
T.A. Gavu.
And it's exciting to have our very own brother in the house, Obese. What intrigues me is his nickname, which has seen many variants until today. We would find out the origin, the etymology, the genesis, how it has transformed and where it is now. But more importantly, we want to learn a lot about him, his journey through Presec, his life as it is now, his businesses, because we know he's a businessman. He's done everything before: food, beverages, Zoom Lion, Zoom Tiger, Zoom Kangaroo, to where he is now into construction services. So there's a lot more to learn from him. And we also have a very surprise guest in the house, the one we call Kotoje. What I will not do is to mention his real name. Our chairman. The one who runs the show when everybody's asleep. Albert Fane is also in the house, but today he's not our guest. He's just a passerby. We have Obese in the house. Just so you know, we are live on Facebook on Ɔdadeɛ Radio and Ɔdadeɛ Radio Ghana, on Instagram and Twitter on Ɔdadeɛ Radio. We're also on the Zeno FM radio app, and also on the Ɔdadeɛ Radio app, which can be downloaded on the Google Play Store or on the App Store. Like I said, we are live on Facebook, on Ɔdadeɛ Radio and Ɔdadeɛ Radio Ghana. If you would want to WhatsApp us or SMS us, you can do that on 020-009-2925. That is 020-009-2925. Obese.
Yes, sir.
How have you been?
Very well. Very, very well.
Lovely. Before I even go to our guest, my co-moderator, who is a traveler par excellence, is also around on Zoom, joining us. Charles Aglago, where you there?
Hello, Garu.
Wonderful.
For the sake of this particular event, I call it an event, not just a radio program. For the sake of this event, because we have the Obese in the studio, I would also not like to introduce myself as Ace. I would like to introduce myself as Aglago Charles Edem.
Yeah.
And I know Obese will like this takeoff because Obese has been a housemate, a schoolmate, a friend, and a brother. I've known him for 20 years. Take notes. I've known you for 21 years, but I've known Obese for 20 years.
Wow.
Take notes. We'll ask that question when we get there. And then also, Obese, to give you the 21 gun salute, I like to do two things. I like the DJ to actually set the song to me for the audience. And then two, I also like to introduce you properly. Before I take a catwalk to the seat as host,
Yes.
I would like you to elate,
Cha.
jubilate,
Aish.
expatiate,
Cha.
expatiate,
Cha.
commemorate
Cha.
that the Obese is in the house today.
The Obese
Gavu.
himself.
Leave the steering wheel to you.
Thank
Backed
you.
by Charles Edemaglago, directly from Kumasi.
Wonderful. From the Garden City, where very soon we would have the seed reds too.
Yes.
Wonderful. Obese, I've known you long, but I think I spent a good time with you at Republic Hall, KNUST.
You know, I was not.
But we won't go there because today I'm the one doing the interview.
Yo.
So we just want to start with childhood. How was growing up for you? This is pre-Presec, primary GSS. How was it like?
I had a very good childhood. I can never say anything bad about my childhood. Will I say we're a middle income family or something like that? I was born and I spent the early years of my life in Labadi, then Labadi, now La. And I mean, area boy, you get to play ball with them. But then I was also fortunate to come from a family where I had 3 other siblings. My parents were very hands-on when it comes to parenting. So I always had a good relationship with my parents. I had a good relationship with my siblings. I think my siblings form my closest innermost circle. And having that around me, having that kind of support, I had church around me, and I had a lot of good friends from school too. So I had a very wonderful childhood.
In primary school GSS, where did you go?
So I did primary school in Garrison Basic School in Burma Camp, where I made some of my very oldest and best friends. Then I did GSS in Morning Star School, where I also made very good friends, like our board lawyer friend.
That guy.
That guy.
You will talk about him later.
That guy, then the other guy,
Into
Ezekiel. I met them there. So I mean, I think that gave me a very good foundation, especially for someone who had decided to be a Presecant as a class 4.
Oh,
So
really?
I mean, having those education in those schools, I mean, Garrison was in Burma Camp, so there was that military discipline type of system there, and the Morning Star exposed me to a lot of other things that I don't want to delve into. But Morning Star was really good for me because it took me out of my comfort zone. That was the very first shock I had, like cultural shock I had, because as a child, I mean, Labadi Burma Camp, that was all I had really known. Then I went to Mornings and I realized that there was other parts of this city too.
So it's interesting that you wanted to be in Presec as early as class 4. I'm sure it was much later for me, probably second term of GSS 3.
I was fortunate. So we're 3 brothers. The oldest went to Presec in 1995. And that was the same year Presec won the National Science and Maths quiz for the first time.
Okay.
So here's my brother who was sort of an introvert in JSS and primary school. He goes into secondary school, and all of a sudden he becomes a very extroverted person. He's filled with confidence. So I'm thinking, hey, what has transformed this guy? And I was very impressed with it. I'm thinking, I'd like to be part of this. Then the National Science and Maths week came around, and there was this gentleman. His name was Te Abe. He was on the team. He had this huge afro, and I think his nickname was Uhuru. So I was watching with my brother, and every time Presec is, he's shouting Uhuru, Uhuru. This guy will go and do problem of the day, and then Professor Ramad, God rest her soul, will say, they used a different method from mine. Let's go through and see. Then she'll go through step by step and say, he got the answer right. I'll give him 10 out of 10. I'm thinking, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy?
I was secondary school boy.
You know, and that made so much of an impression on me. I was like, I'm going to that school. So that was settled for me very early.
Wonderful. And you know, it's interesting because I remember when I came into Presec, right? One of the schools that annoyed me most was the Morning Star boys. There were too many here. There were too many everywhere. And just when they entered the class, imagine that 8th class with that lawyer and Clarence Adama and a few others. And a few
Clarence
others.
Adama was not a Morning
He was not a Morning Star. Okay. There were a few others. There was Mo a Morning Star boy.
No, Mo was not. I can give you the list.
You have the list there. But you could see that they formed their own clique.
Yes.
And it was nice because my only classmate was Mango and a few others.
you didn't have classmates.
I didn't have classmates.
You did not have classmates.
It was Mango and a few others, so you can imagine.
No, you didn't have classmates.
However, so Presec, you seem like a very extroverted person.
I think now I'm becoming introverted, yeah, but I've always been very extroverted.
How was Presec for you?
It was heaven.
It was it.
No, for me it was heaven.
Tell me about Presec.
The only thing I think that took a little away from my Presec experience was the fact that in Form 1, my parents, my mom especially, refused to allow me to come to the boarding house, although I had gotten the boarding house. And that was a big deal because people were not getting boarding house. Accra boys were not getting boarding house. I got boarding house. My parents said I was too troublesome, so I shouldn't come to the boarding house. So I had to wait till Form 2 and throw out a few threats before I was allowed to come to the boarding house. But so I didn't have to suffer the Form 1 beating, not too much. Although as a day student who went to Morning Star, they used to come and find us in the classrooms and take us to the dorms and hustle us a paper. But Presec was fun. I was part of Presec Drama Club. I was part of Quiz Writers and Debaters Club. I was in every house.
You were?
I was in every house. I was eating from everybody's plates. I was striking in the dining hall, and yet I was still, rolling with the DBs. And I was a cliffhanger. I was a DD. I was a sojourner. Whichever one. I went to all the girls' schools some. I went to all the jams some, and I did the Prim-Protons too some. I was in Noobs.
You served God some.
Oh yeah. So me, I had a complete. Yes, the other thing that spoiled my experience in Presec was my class.
What about them?
I started in 3H, which arguably was the best science class in Presec at the time for our year group. At some point, I just gave up and said that, you know what, you want to be sharks, you be sharks and go. Some of us will handle the. Because
you just want to finish the school.
Because I mean, you can't sit in a class where
you
write an exam, somebody gets like a 95% in an exam, the person is like 15th in the class. Like, you can't sit in a class like that. It's not nice, not for those of us who were non-SAT students from very early.
Rank your classmates.
Ranking.
Top 10.
Top 10.
You in no particular order, top 10.
Top 10 in no particular order. I mean, they are the obvious people. That there's a B, Riza, Amache. Those three. Those three.
You put them aside.
Put them aside because they are obvious. They are obvious choices. But you see, that was the beautiful thing about our class.
Yeah.
They were obvious choices, but there were people in the class that were not obvious, but were like the people like the Edem Chiagbes, the Kwame Science, people like Joe Aga, Blagoji. They were quiet boys. Andy Hammond.
My roommate.
Charles Mensah. Charles Mensah came from Prestia. You know how Accra boys, he thinks we be the we, Charles Mensah came from Prestia. He can't show his level. Like, this guy, he be minor. Go find some gold, go sell or something.
Go do Galamsey and move on.
So we had, but also what made that class, I think that the good thing about that class was that because there were so many brilliant minds, and I mean, it was Presec, so having a class of brilliant minds among a school of brilliant minds is very difficult. But it was helpful because then if you had any problems academically, your own classmates can hold you down. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. I can imagine how it would feel like. There are stories of how people move from JHS and think they are the best in their school, and they enter Presec and they forget and they realize that, Charlie.
Yeah, it happened to us in our class.
Charlie, you are number 46.
I'm a Ghanaian, mega share, you are mega ho. So you came from your school, you think you are King Kong.
Yeah.
Then you come and sit in a class, and everybody's a King Kong. So now we want to find who is Godzilla.
And then the Godzilla is even they can separate themselves.
And then amongst them, they are trying to find who is Godzilla or Godzilla. Yeah.
So. Yes, and one thing I like about you is how you carry Presec everywhere you go. you are one of the few Ɔdadeɛs who still carry your prefect's badge everywhere you go.
No, not a prefect. It's just a lapel pin.
It's just a lapel pin,
Yes.
but it's like a
I was
prefect
never a
badge.
prefect.
Yes, I know.
I was never serious enough a student to be qualified to be a prefect.
But I like how you carry Presec on your chest, and it's no fluke that you became our first president, right? We would go into that, but after Presec, KNUST, right?
Yes. We were in KNUST together.
Oh please, we are talking about your side of KNUST.
We were actively in KNUST together. You were in ushering wing at CCC.
Yes.
I was in Vessels of Honor
Yes.
at
and
PMSU. I was in
mass
mass
drama. Yes.
We're in KNUST together.
Yes.
Why are you trying to convolute the story?
Oh no! I just want to. You see, we have a larger audience. This is a private conversation, right?
No, so KNUST.
So yes. So tell me about.
So again,
KNUST.
KNUST. I think I have had a charmed life because again, when we're in secondary school,
Yeah.
I mean, Legon was just next door.
Yeah.
If you were hard enough in Presec and you knew who to roll with, you could live in Legon like 40% of the time you are in Presec.
True.
Back then, now
Yeah.
you can't do it, but back then you could. So I mean, I had the Legon experience. My older brother went to Presec. He went to Legon from Presec. So Legon was like next door. So I wanted to go to Tech because then I was going to get a chance to travel
Yeah.
and leave Accra. So I got to go to Tech. I was fortunate enough to be a Continental, which I'm very proud of.
Conti.
I'm power. I'm still a very active Continental. Yeah. Always around. I've booked enough credit hours at always around.
Oh yes, yes, you have.
Yeah, I have. I did that. But so I studied agriculture in KNUST with the hopes of becoming a vet doctor because the concept of castration was very nice to me. But
Castration of
animals, please. But then if anybody had tried something funny on my sister, I mean,
but we are also animals, right? In the bigger sense.
yeah. So if per chance, like at this age now, if somebody moves in on my daughter or something,
Okay, we would go into the conversations around your daughters.
yes.
But yeah.
So
at
yes,
least
I
now
had to study that.
when we know you have a
So I
daughter.
studied agriculture. But KNUST was also a very intriguing place for me because,
Yeah.
like we're talking about, there was the church part,
Yeah.
and KNUST had a very strong Christian culture on campus, which for me was really good
Yeah.
because even with that crowd, then it had small for boys. You know, some of us were a little too adventurous, but then also there was the fun part. There were parts where we got to spend time in Queen's JCR a lot. Went on the processions, went for the drink cups and the parties. So like I had a well balanced experience in KNUST too. Yeah, and I made quite a lot of again good friends there too that have stuck with me
Yeah.
through time. Yeah.
I think that between Presec and KNUST, between the two, which was your best experience? Charles will be coming in shortly, but before Charles comes in, between KNUST and Presec.
By far Presec. By far Presec. Because even my KNUST experience was very much impacted by my Presec experience because again, you had a close. My roommates were all Presecans.
Yeah.
My roommates in KNUST were David Kotenikwe and Nana Jimamboating, Nana B and DK. DK, Shaq, cool, calm guy, and Nana B there in sports things and stuff.
Why should Nana be there? No be Shaq.
Nana B be Shaq,
but
Nana B
the way
was,
you
Nana
separate
B,
the Shaq
I'm
from
saying DK was more calm, quiet, cool. Nana B was more out there, especially because of his love for sports. So he was more like always with the boys chatting about football. So DK was very reserved.
the Arsenal fan who's still waiting to win a trophy.
They are still hoping.
Shout out to Nana B, Charles Aglago.
So those were my roommates.
Oh, sorry, Aglago, Charles, Edem,
Ace.
Aces,
Maces, Faces.
Over to you.
Please be reminded that you are the one being interviewed. I'd like to shout out to Peter Nantete. I think Alex Guavon is also in the house. Elder JB,
Wow.
Jody Breeze from US, Raymond. I don't know if I should refer to him as the chief or as Butu. We have Dronex, Clarence Fayose, we have Leo, we have Adudankwa, and a host of others that Obese is bringing into this program. But I said I have known Obese for 20 years, shy of 1 year. Shy of 1 year because he just mentioned that he joined the boarding house the second year. Obese is trying to actually dodge the name new border. But in this particular interview, I don't think that Obese can dodge any new border because
Charles, not to interrupt you.
A new border.
But when the armed robbers came to Presec when we were in Form 1, I was on
actually
campus.
Followed up the interview.
And when the armed robbers came in Form 1, I was on campus. So that Sunday morning, I was in Presec. You can't call me a new border. When the armed robbers came, I was in Presec.
Alex, please mute your mic.
Obese.
Yes.
Oh, Charles, please go on.
I think we lost Charles.
Charles, are you there? Okay, so we'll go on. Once Charles comes back, we'll put him back on. So there's the controversial new border conversation. So long as you were here when the armed robbers were here, you are not a new border.
I'm not a new border.
Bottom line.
Not at all. Not at all.
Charles, yes, you are back. I'm handing it back to you. Okay. So yes, after KNUST, National Service.
Again, like I said, charmed life. So National Service time, they posted everybody. My letter came. I had been posted to the Greater Accra Regional Secretariat of the National Service.
You did a National Service at the National Service.
So I went there. I was like, oh, I've been posted there. And he said, anybody that was posted there, it means they didn't get anywhere to post you. So if you have a place you wanted to do your National Service, you should. You can get a letter from them. They'll take it. And I had done my attachment at Animal Research Institute, which was, again, still in line with the hopes of becoming a veterinary doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there. I got a letter. I sent it to the secretariat. I was assigned to Animal Research Institute. And it was a really good experience for me, again, because they opened me up into higher learning and higher education. I got a lot of research experience, which I still apply to life even to this date. So yeah, so I did my service there. It was a quiet service, nothing too extraordinary. They are in Kataman, so they are Fafaha, which is a bit out of town. So National Service time, apart from Friday nights, you couldn't come to town because by the time you close and come, so yeah. But so it kept me quiet during my National Service days. Yeah. The Alawatu was not plenty, so
Charlie, National Service Alawatu.
Yeah, you know if they do anything. Yeah. So that was National Service for me. Then after National Service, I think I did a year.
Sorry, please hold on. I think we've all been muted. Okay. So yeah, obviously a National Service.
So I did my National Service at Animal Research. It was a quiet place, a lot of research work. Ghana could do better with funding research. I can say that even now with my contacts there, because there was very little funding. So a lot of the projects that we were doing were quite small. The only big research projects that were going on were all funded by foreign entities, and it just felt sad that as a country we didn't see the need to invest in research and development. But yeah, that was it. So after National Service, I took a year off. I wasn't looking for work. I keep telling people I took a year off to how do I say it, discover myself. But it was in that year that I explored my more creative side. So I've always attempted to be a poet. I started it in JSS2. We were given an assignment in class to write a poem. I wrote it. My English teacher loved it. She encouraged me. So throughout Presec, again, and that's one of the things I loved about Presec, because if you're part of what we call the Literary Society, which was made up of I think 5 clubs: Drama Club, Quiz Writers and Debaters Club, Readers Club, French Club, and the editorial board. We had a very active writing culture in Presec, we had all these notice boards where different people write short stories and poems to put on. And remember, it was a big deal. Like after service, we are all rushing to the notice boards to read what is,
see what's there.
What is new. So I got a lot of friends like Charles himself, Emmanuel Gamo. He's not celebrated for that much, but Okulacha was a very instrumental person in Quiz Writers and Business.
The great Okulacha.
Yeah, we were organizing secretaries together.
Dr. Opo.
Yeah, in Quiz Writers and Business. Our president was John Kosa. We used to torment his life. He's now Reverend John.
Reverend John Kosa.
Yeah, we'll visit his church one of these days.
We have to.
Okulacha and I will sit in the front row and see if he can preach. If he sees us,
He will.
Yeah,
He'll give his life to Christ.
So I went in.